AFR Talk.
You're listening to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, talking about the lost emails. It turns out they are not lost after all. Sonasoft, this company that specializes in emailing or in archiving emails, should have them. Now remember, they were under contract. The IRS had a contract with Sonasoft, which specializes in backing up software. Sonasoft advertised in 2009 the IRS uses us to back up their servers. So in other words, what Sonasoft is saying, look, it doesn't matter even if the IRS servers went down or somebody's hard drive crashed, we have all of the emails backed up on our servers. Now, the contract with Sonasoft was mysteriously canceled in 2011, in September of 2011. Remember, the letter goes from Dave Camp to Lois Lerner, June 3rd, 2011. We want to find out about the IRS targeting nonprofit groups. 10 days later, June 13, Lois Lerner's computer hard drive mysteriously crashes along with 6 other colleagues, all of whom would have been the IRS staff that would have been communicating with people outside the IRS, people at Treasury, people at the Department of Justice, people in the White House, which would be evidence of some kind of conspiracy to go after the Tea Party groups. All that stuff just vanished, according to the IRS. Hard drives crashed, servers crashed, that stuff gone forever. But Sonasoft was still under contract, bragging about the fact that they back up the IRS servers. If the IRS trusts us to back up their servers, why don't you trust us with the same? Then the contract with Sonasoft was still in effect on June 3 when Dave Camp sends the letter over. The contract with Sonasoft still in effect on June 13 when Lois Lerner's email and all the other hard drives crash. And it was in effect until the IRS mysteriously canceled it with very little notice in September of 2011, just 2 months later. Now, here's the deal. Here's the kicker. According to federal law, Sonasoft has to keep its records 3 years after they've received the last federal payment. If they got a federal contract, you have to keep your records intact for 3 years from the day you received your last payment. The last payment they got from the IRS was in September of 2011. We are still inside that 3-year window. So what that means, bottom line, is Sonasoft should still, unless there's something out there that we don't know, Sonasoft should still have all of those emails backed up on its servers. Now, let's listen to clip 3, Rob. This is a commercial that Sonasoft did. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching on TV or streaming, you'll see this. But it's the IT guy for this company. He's leaning back in his chair. He's reading the book. He's got his feet up on his desk with his computer in front of him there. But he's just very nonchalantly leafing through this book. And the rest of the staff in this company, they're in a panic because their server has gone down. Their emails are gone. What are we going to do? We got to get our emails back. And they go to the IT guy. This is the guy that's responsible to retrieve the emails. And here's how their exchange goes.
What do you think of that new DBA? He's just sitting there reading a book. We're paying that guy a good buck. If it were my decision, he'd have a hard way to go.
Oh, I know.
Hey, I hear we've got systems problems. Shouldn't you be working to get this stuff back online as soon as possible? The boss is not going to be happy if he doesn't have access to his email and his database this afternoon.
Oh, the system crashed this morning? Don't worry about it. Our standby servers were up and running within 10 minutes of the crash. Now we just gotta wait for the replacement hardware to show up and we'll be set.
What? How can that be?
When I started here, I installed Sonasoft Sonasafe. It gives me single-click failover to all our standby servers. It was great. We're up and running back in minutes.
Single-click recovery, back up and running in minutes. That's what Sonasoft advertises. That's what they specialize in. Those emails, ladies and gentlemen, should still be sitting right there in the Sonasoft servers. So hopefully John Koskinen is going to be grilled on that tonight. This is Dave Camp, clip 4. This is the guy that sent the letter to Lois Lerner back in June 3rd of 2011. He's talking to this John Koskinen guy, the IRS commissioner. Let's listen.
So, what I've learned in the last week, I think calls into question every document and response the IRS has given, or for that matter, has failed to give in this committee. And the only way I can see any hope of restoring any confidence is to establish a special prosecutor with the authorities, the powers, and the resources needed to uncover the truth. So for the sake of the agency and to restore the trust of the American people, will you support the appointment of a special prosecutor?
There are 6 investigations going on of this event.
Yes or no?
The IG is already investigating this.
Can you give a definitive answer to this committee? Yes or no, do you support the appointment of a special prosecutor?
I do.
I'm controlling the time. I'm asking a question that can have a simple yes or no answer.
I think
regular order.
I think the appointment of a special prosecutor after the 6 investigations ongoing and the IG investigation into this matter ongoing would be a monumental waste of taxpayer funds.
So is that a yes or a no?
That's a no.
Okay, so no special prosecutor, IRS commissioner. Now here is Paul Ryan. This is from Friday. You might have heard this or heard about this. Here's Paul Ryan grilling the same guy, John Koskinen, about these missing emails. And remember, this is before we knew about this contract with Sonasoft, a company, a Silicon Valley company that specializes in archiving emails. Let's listen.
This is unbelievable. The apology that ought to be given is to the American taxpayer, not to a government agency that is abusing its power. I am sitting here listening to this testimony. I don't believe it. That's your problem. Nobody believes you.
Come on now.
The Internal Revenue Service comes to Congress a couple years ago and misleads us and says no targeting is occurring. Then it said it was a few rogue agents in Cincinnati. Then it said it was also on progressives. All of those things have been proven untrue. This committee sent a criminal referral of possible criminal wrongdoing just a month ago to the Justice Department. We've heard nothing. You bury in a 27-page letter to the Senate asking for them to conclude the investigation that you've lost Lois Lerner's emails during the time in question because of a hard drive crash. Monday, our investigators asked your agency whether any other hard drives crashed, and we learned that 6 other hard drives of the people we're investigating were involved. You didn't tell us that.
We told you on Monday.
On Monday.
And what did you do with the information?
Because we asked you.
Right, and what did you do with that information?
You told us on Monday because we asked you whether any other hard drives crashed. This is unbelievable.
We answered
you told us on May that you were going to give us all of Lois Lerner's emails, and you learned in February that this crashed.
All right, so that's John Koskinen, stonewalling Representative Paul Ryan, who was not a happy camper. Now here is the second exchange, Paul Ryan with John Koskinen.
You are the Internal Revenue Service. You can reach into the lives of hardworking taxpayers, and with a phone call, an email, or a letter, you can turn their lives upside down. You ask taxpayers to hang on to 7 years of their personal tax information in case they're ever audited, and you can't keep 6 months' worth of employee emails? And now that we are seeing this investigation, you don't have the emails. Hard drives crashed. You learned about this months ago. You just told us, and we had to ask you on Monday. This is not being forthcoming. This is being misleading again. This is a pattern of abuse, a pattern of behavior that is not giving us any confidence that this agency is being impartial. I don't believe you. This is incredible.
I have a long career. That's the first time anybody has said that you do not believe me. I
don't believe you.
I don't believe you. How, and the John Koskinen, I mean, to me, there's just an attitude of kind of smarmy arrogance about that guy. Who are you to question me? I'm with the IRS. We tell you what to do. And Paul Ryan said, look, you require us to hang on to 7 years of information and data, and you're not going to accept an excuse from a taxpayer that my hard drive crashed, I lost all the data. You're not going to accept that. They're going to have to reconstruct the records, and you guys can't keep track of emails for 6 months. So that's going on. He's going to appear tonight before another subcommittee. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. You can bet there are going to be some questions about these backed up emails. Let's go to Keith in Houston, Texas. Keith, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm listening to you talk, and I'm very grateful for the lady in Sudan being released. I appreciate her stand. But I have a question. Have you heard in the other media where Hillary Clinton and John Kerry are taking the credit for that?
Oh, they are? I hadn't seen that. That's unbelievable. They had nothing to do with it.
So you haven't heard that yet?
No, I haven't. Have you seen that? Have you heard that they're out there beating their chests about this thing?
I've heard it. That's all I know, and so I just wanted to ask you if you'd heard it.
No, I hadn't. I don't know how Hillary Clinton could take any credit for this thing because she was gone before this woman was locked up and gone before she was sentenced to death and gone before she was released. And Senator Kerry, the Obama administration, they had to be basically dragged kicking and screaming into this thing even to say anything about it. So that's just unbelievable that they would now be out there trying to take credit for this. So anyway, we are so glad that she's been released. But again,
amen.
She's and thank you for the call, Keith. I appreciate it. You know, she's in an Islamic country, you know, her own family, because this is the nature of the religion of Islam. And again, we're not saying that all Muslims are like this. I'm not generalizing to all Muslims. I'm not saying they're all like this, but I'm saying this is what their religion teaches. And we can be grateful that more of them are not as devoted followers of their faith as members of this woman's family. But they have indicated that they are going to carry out the death sentence. If the courts won't do it, they are going to carry out the death sentence on their own. So we need to continue to pray for her safety and for her protection. Well, that is it for today. Off to another week of broadcasting here on AFR Talk. Focal Point, here is some good news for the rest of your Monday from Isaiah 55. May you go out in joy, be led forth in peace. Bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap, and never forget, as Miriam Ibrahim proves, we are fighting a winnable war.